Once I knock out Mike Perry, Conor McGregor, let's run it. But you won't do it because you know what's going to happen. You saw what I did to Nate Diaz, who you went toe-to-toe with. So Conor McGregor, lay off the cocaine, get in the gym, and start winning fights, and then maybe we could have a conversation.
Jake Paul has done it again, another desperate stunt to keep his name in the headlines. This time, he's challenged Conor McGregor to a fight, aiming for next May.
Jake Paul made the call-out video. He disrespected Conor McGregor.
Let's be real. Jake's strategy is as transparent as his boxing skills. Target fading legends to inflate his so-called legacy. After dragging Mike Tyson into the ring, a man old enough to be his dad, Jake now wants a piece of McGregor, who hasn't won anything meaningful in years.
Jake Paul training with professional boxers, essentially being a professional boxer, but getting in the ring with non-boxers or geriatric dudes. He's not doing.
Of course, Jake isn't about to face someone in their prime. Why risk losing to a real challenge when you can cherry-pick opponents who are past their peak? It's pathetic, honestly. If Jake's so eager to prove himself, why not fight someone his own age with equal strength? But no, that wouldn't fit his narrative, would it? Another day, another cringeworthy grab for attention from the internet's least favorite boxer. Jake wants to fight Conor McGregor. Yes, that Conor McGregor, the guy who hasn't won a fight since 2021, whose current legacy is about as stable as his left leg post-Poirier. But Jake, in his infinite wisdom and unmatched humility, cue sarcasm, presented this news like he was curing world hunger. The audacity of this man to act like he's gracing McGregor with his presence is mind-boggling. The fight is apparently set for India in 2025, because why not throw in an exotic location to make this circus even more absurd? Jake's ego, much like his career, thrives on spectacle, and apparently, this is his way of staying in the headlines while we collectively cringe.
Why doesn't he just get in the ring with you?
He's on Twitter, he's on his yacht, he's on cocaine, but he's not in the ring with me.
And then there's ESPN's Solvender, the journalist who decided to spice things up with a tweet that sent social media into a frenzy. He claimed Jake Paul versus Conor McGregor is on the table for July, August, or September 2025. Oh, and it's happening in India, because why not? Apparently, the only thing better than a ridiculous matchup is one with an exotic backdrop and a date far enough away for us all to forget how pointless it is. Solvender's tweet lit up Twitter like a Christmas tree, with fans, critics, and trolls diving into the madness. Likes, retweets, memes, you name it, the internet delivered. What makes Solvender's tweet so maddeningly brilliant is that it doesn't confirm anything but keeps everyone talking. Whether he's an agent of chaos or a master manipulator is up for debate. But one thing's clear, he's helped keep Jake Paul in the headlines, which, let's be honest, is Jake's real endgame. This isn't about boxing, it's about attention. And Jake, as always, knows exactly how to get it. But let's pause for a second. Jake's been on a roll lately. Remember his so-called victory over Mike Tyson? Oh yes, Jake stepped into the ring with a 58-year-old man and had the audacity to celebrate like he just conquered the heavyweight division. The fight was scored unanimously in Jake's favor, an outcome about as surprising as the sunrise, given Tyson's retirement age. But did that stop Jake from hyping himself as the second coming of Sugar Ray Leonard? Absolutely not. The man thrives on delusion. Jake's strategy in the Tyson fight was simple. Avoid getting knocked out by a man who's old enough to collect a pension and then flex for the cameras. And of course, he made sure the world saw every grueling moment of his preparation, because Jake Paul without a training montage is like a YouTuber without clickbait. It just doesn't work. Push-ups, sparring, selfies, you name it, Jake's team documented it. The end result? A performance so mediocre that even Tyson's geriatrics-fueled punches couldn't spice it up. Critics weren't just unimpressed, they were downright appalled. If there's one thing Jake Paul excels at, it's making mediocrity look like an Olympic sport. Now, back to this McGregor nonsense. Jake's pitch for this fight screams desperation. He knows Conor McGregor isn't exactly in his prime anymore, but hey, that's Jake's specialty, cherry-picking opponents who won't completely obliterate him. For McGregor, this fight is less about boxing and more about collecting a paycheck. Because let's be honest, what else does he have going for him? His whiskey empire? His stale trash talk? Jake, on the other hand, sees this as yet another opportunity to feed his insatiable hunger for validation.
Conor McGregor just tweeted at me because of this interview.
He has to get active again. You know, who knows when that's going to happen.
These are his tweets, and here's my response. Conor. You're more active on Twitter than you are in the octagon. Stop taking Trenbolone and start taking fights. You're more actively cheating on your wife than you are in the octagon. Your priorities are mixed up. Put down the bottle and get back to fighting. You haven't won a fight in 5 fucking years, and the last time you did was against Cowboy Cerrone, who hasn't won a fight against anyone since fighting you. I'm a nobody, you say in this tweet. Well, yeah, you're right. I'm just a fucking kid from Ohio. I really am a nobody, but this is where you fought your 6th fight.
There's literally 2 people in the crowd.
And this is where I'm going to be fighting my 6th fight. Madison Square Garden, the mecca of boxing. August 6th. I know you'll be watching, kiddo.
Financially, the fight makes sense, which is the only reason it's even being considered. Jake's entire career is built on the concept of turning controversy into cash. The bigger the name, the louder the noise, and Jake knows how to play that game better than anyone. But let's not pretend this is about advancing his career as a boxer. Jake Paul's definition of boxing involves dancing around aging legends and avoiding real competition. Conor McGregor, once the untouchable king of the UFC, is now teetering on the edge of irrelevance, clinging to the scraps of his former glory. This is the guy who used to terrify opponents with his fists and charm millions with his Irish swagger. Now, he's more likely to be spotted selling whiskey or firing off cringe-inducing Twitter rants than stepping into a fight that actually matters. Let's not forget his last memorable moment in the octagon was snapping his leg against Dustin Poirier in 2021, a loss so catastrophic that even his legendary trash talk couldn't salvage it. Since then, he's been on a remarkable streak of inactivity.
Look, Conor is not what he once was. And so even beating him, it still looks good on somebody's resume.
Fast forward to now, and McGregor's grand comeback isn't in the UFC, but in the form of exhibition matches. Let me translate that for you. He's shopping for low-risk, high-payday fights that won't damage what's left of his reputation. It's like he's out here trying to play dodgeball with his legacy, avoiding any real competition while raking in cash. Enter Jake Paul, the YouTube sensation turned boxer who somehow manages to make McGregor look like the epitome of class by comparison. Jake, being the relentless clout chaser that he is, has thrown down a challenge to McGregor. And the result? Radio silence from Conor. Not a tweet, not a snarky Instagram post, nothing. It's almost like Conor himself knows what a joke this would be. Or maybe, just maybe, he's too busy plotting his next whiskey ad. If McGregor takes the fight, it's a double-edged sword. Sure, it's a chance to rake in another paycheck, but at what cost? A loss to Jake Paul would be the final nail in the coffin for his fighting legacy. And let's not kid ourselves, his reputation is already hanging by a thread. Reject the fight, and he might avoid the circus, but he also loses the chance to cash in on one of his few remaining opportunities to stay relevant. Either way, the notorious McGregor is becoming more notorious for his courtroom appearances and reality show antics than his once feared left hook.
Make no mistake, it will be a trilogy fight down the line. It won't be straight away, but we will do it 3 times, 100%.
Now, let's talk about what this fight would actually mean for combat sports. Spoiler, not much. It's spectacle over skill, drama over discipline. Boxing purists will cringe, MMA fans will groan, and casual viewers will tune in for the memes, not the moves. Jake Paul doesn't care about legitimacy, he cares about cash. For McGregor, it's another chance to avoid the octagon while cashing a fat check. The fight itself? A glorified sparring match dressed up as a once-in-a-lifetime event. Jake's career, if you can call it that, thrives on these gimmicks. He recently declared his retirement from influencer boxing, whatever that means, and claims he's focusing on professional bouts. But let's be real. Jake Paul is as professional a boxer as I am an astronaut. His entire shtick is built on chaos, controversy, and carefully orchestrated clownery. A fight with McGregor isn't about proving himself in the ring, it's about inflating his brand and his bank account. Win or lose, Jake will spin the narrative to make himself look like a genius, because that's what he does best.
Conor McGregor calls out Jake Paul for the next boxing fight. Here it is.
Make a new name for yourself. Look at what has happened to Michael Perry. You know, one of our big stars here, the king of violence. He titles himself, and you know he's had such a rise in the sport. Now he's up against you know, a little dweeb of a thing in a fight this weekend that we're all rooting for him.
So here we are, watching this circus unfold in slow motion. McGregor, once a fearsome warrior, now a shadow of his former self. Jake Paul, a walking meme factory, thriving on the chaos he creates. And Solvender, stirring the pot just enough to keep this madness alive. Whether the fight happens or not, the damage is done. Boxing, MMA, and everyone who cares about actual sportsmanship lose, while Jake Paul laughs his way to the bank. Because for him, it's never been about the fight, it's about the attention. And boy, does he know how to get it. And yet, here we are, witnessing this car crash in slow motion. Jake Paul, a guy who's mastered the art of being insufferable, is trying to sell us on a fight that nobody asked for, but everyone will probably watch out of sheer morbid curiosity. Whether or not it happens, one thing is certain. Jake will milk this for every last drop of attention. Because for him, it's not about the sport. It's about staying relevant in a world that's increasingly tired of his antics.